trying to take over Scope Specials, and it's just too much.
Mate, I'll tell you what, ever
plate.
since I put my name to that, my life has been fucking cursed. So there's something to it. Microphone's not working. Jesus.
It's not for everyone, mate. Don't get too carried away.
Here we are, guys. Show and go.
All right, lads.
You
can hear me all right? Am I in?
Yeah, mate. Sounding fresh.
Sorry.
I think people like the raw intros. I might just press record randomly moving forward. 8th of May today. It's a Friday. It's Friday where we do our best work. We know Scope does his best work on a Friday as well. How are you, mate?
Yeah. Good, mate. Just getting after it as per.
Yeah.
After the SOS, after Ice pulls a backflip at 5 minutes before the podcast. But,
I forgot about that.
Always bailing the company out.
Yeah. I'm pretty much the sixth man of YKTR Sports. You just bring me off the bench and just continue to get the job done.
Call him the microwave. He heats up like that. You just give him a moment's notice. He was still in the ocean. He was halfway through a 1.5 kilometre open ocean swim, and he answers his phone and jumps on the
pause
podcast.
To watch, mate. I was halfway through. I'm like, what's going on? I remember
the company's in a shambles.
Oh no, they need me again.
Get her out. Well, Jackson, we're not missing you today. You got a bit of vintage kit happening. Is that a tech project hat as well?
Yeah, of course. Bro, this is my favourite one, eh? I love all the old techie stuff. Yeah, I always see you rock a Scope. It's my go-to. So
yeah. Ice gives it to me. He goes, fuck, bro, you're always wearing that hat. I'm like, come on, bro. It's tech project. Don't let it die, baby.
You know you're in for a good one. Scope's got the tech project hat on. He's sitting in the ute and in the cameras on selfie mode. You know you're getting a good video there.
You're getting something there.
You know why that's my best work? Because that's when I'm at work doing the cone stuff.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I use it for my high-vis hat. And I've got so much time when I'm doing that job. So when I'm sitting in the car, I'm just thinking about all the weirdest shit. And then I go, yeah, you know what? This is a good time for a Scope Specials, I think.
Well, boys, I sent through the topics before. We'll sort of keep it a bit off the cuff this one, I reckon. It is Friday. Obviously, the NRL boys are back this week. We're not going to touch on all the bullshit that's been going on, but Jackson, you're coming from the media perspective. I see his video on how it all works. You wanted to sort of chip in and say a few things this morning?
Yeah, no, I wanted to sort of just kind of address, I know that video of his it did quite well and people sort of really resonated with it. And he didn't break any news, he just kind of broke it down into how it works. And a lot of what he said was right. Some of what he said was, a little bit here or there, but basically the business model is very much that. I mean, if the more eyeballs we get on a story, is the more ad revenue we can sell. So in that sense, he's exactly right. Negativity sells. I mean, the top stories, but that's just human nature. The top stories in any given year for us were, Christchurch mosque attacks or bushfires for you guys, I'm sure. So when we come to sport, it's the same sort of thing. But the thing which pissed me off a little bit about all of this last stuff, and I know we don't want to dive too much into it because you can blur lines here, but there's no shying away from the fact that Latrell's an Aboriginal player. He's in a minority group in a very much, white Australian-dominated sport. I don't know how many Māori or Pacific Islanders or Aboriginals there are in positions of power at the NRL. I could probably pretty comfortably say fuck all. And it goes the same for media. And there's this underlying racial line with all of these stories where, it is very much these days, if Latrell or Cody Walker gets a cup of coffee, it's a bigger story than if Cam Smith, says something outlandish, which is just weird. It's where our attention goes naturally. And I thought Ice broke it down really well. And the sort of PSA or the big takeaway from it is to just take a pause when you are reading that sort of content. Think about what's the actual angle of the story here. If it says staff writer, fuck it off. We have a policy here at Staff. I'm not acting like we're any better than Fox or anything like that. But if you can't put your name to it, there's no point in writing the story because it means A, you're either lying or, well, actually there's no B. It pretty much means if you're too afraid to put your name to it, what are you writing it for? So I don't write anything that I won't put my name to. I've done stories about cafes and all sorts of weird shit in the last week that it's not really up my alley, but I'll put my name to it because it's my story. So a story about Latrell coming up to training, whatever, overweight, blowing. Scope would be able to tell you how many boys turn up to day one blowing. I don't think you would have been the only one in that group, but it's sort of, without waffling on too much, we've had a very similar thing here. And Artie spoke to us, Lukey, when we first did a couple of those write-ups on him. Julian Severe was that for us in New Zealand for a long time. Julian Severe, anything he did was back page news. For whatever reason, he was the hot topic at the time. and he happens to be a Pacific Island player. So there's no way around this. It's just the reality of the news world, which is shit. But as a consumer, I think Ice touched on a few good points. There's a way we can sort of address it and just take a step back for what it is.
Plenty of good things going on in the game as well. Like you've seen like people like Jordan Kahu taking you behind the scenes. Looks like Chad Townsend's putting a vlog together, taking you behind the scenes. They're all the stories that they should be getting behind and promoting that. That's my perspective on it. Scope, how did Normie roll through back from training this week? You're the one point of contact that he's got at the moment.
Yeah.
Doing all the groceries, doing all the jobs around the house. He's locked down.
Do you boys swear on this one?
Yeah.
No, I said yesterday on the podcast, I feel like I'm Normie's missus, but I'm just not getting fucked at the moment. So
that's coming out today for everyone, that potty. So you've got you and Ice. And is that right?
Yeah. We had a good laugh on our podcast yesterday, but he's going all right. Not too bad. I think Dragons have done pretty well.
Well, he's had the number one health and nutritionist coach with him in the apartment for the past 6 weeks.
Well, you know what? So. Me and Normie been getting after it every day, baby. Shit. So he's stayed ready. He's probably more well prepared than most players, than probably what he would have been if he trained the whole time anyway with the Dragons, training with me.
Now that's a headline. Staff writers, get behind that one.
Yeah, he's chasing an S&C job, I think.
Like his rig's going to be in good shape because you've seen the boxing videos that we did, and I was ripping into him, so the contact's not going to bother him one bit. But all seriously,
I mean, got big Nelson Asafa Solomoto running at you, Scope hitting you in the liver. I mean,
same thing.
Yeah, he's ready to go, baby. He's ready to go. Now he's but seriously, like half joking around about it, but Normie's been keeping himself in good shape, and I'm pretty sure most of the boys have been.
Yeah. It's
not like a normal break where the boys have been able to fuck off and go to Bali or get on the piss for 2 weeks. So I think a lot of the boys, they got given some equipment, or they had some access to some gym, one-on-one gym work, or field work. So I think it'll be a bit scrappy the first couple of weeks of footy in particular, but yeah, they should be ready to go.
Yeah, how good. Have you, leading into the UFC that's coming on this weekend, have either of you had a chance to watch any of the embeddeds that they've been putting out?
I haven't watched the embeddeds now, but I saw like on Facebook there was like a countdown clip of it all. But I mean, we always knew if any sport was going to come back first, it was always going to be the UFC, wasn't it? They were chasing an island somewhere, and it is one-on-one, so it makes it a lot easier than having 17 on 17. But yeah, I'm pumped for it, man. Jacko Special's coming out.
Yeah, Jackson, here he is. He's coming to take out the scope.
Oh, no.
This is the real matchup of UFC 249, I think.
Yeah. It's not for everyone, mate. I don't know, like Jackson's Jackpots. I don't know. You maybe got to change the name.
That's
you
me.
You got to find your own little.
I'll tell you what.
Not everyone.
I'm very nervous,
mate. Yeah,
I'm very nervous. I'm sweating, man.
Have you had to read? Did you read the article, Scope, with his predictions?
No, I haven't had a look yet. Who do you like?
So Jackson,
you work in the UFC, don't you?
I do my best work in the UFC. I've called an upset in the main event, based purely on the fact that Tony Khabib seems cursed. So I'm just going with Gaethje, because then that basically fucks that all up. But there's a few smokies on there: Calvin Kattar, Jeremy Stevens, 2 knockout artists. I've got Kattar there. I haven't put it in the special, but Rosenstruck, Francis Ngannou, that's not getting out of the first round. So there's bang for your buck there and a knockout
Big
either way.
Bopper's going at it there.
Just flip a coin and pick someone to KO. But I also think Cowboy bounces back. So Cowboy's an underdog against Pettis.
Pettis has got one over again.
Yeah.
Right?
You know what he said?
Weekend.
You know what he said? He goes, I'm staying in Jacksonville and I want to be the first fighter to fight 3 times in 1 week because they've got an event on Wednesday and an event on the following Saturday. So he's like, I'm going to be the first fighter to do that. Not gonna happen.
Well, he's a lunatic. I've seen one of the podcasts he did with Joe Rogan. He's a cool character,
Yeah,
he's man. He's doing like wakeboarding and shit the week of the fight, and everyone's like, he's like mountain biking and riding around on horses and shit. When everyone else is just sweating and hitting pads, and then he goes out there and smokes them. So I think after that Conor loss, I think he bounces back. Pettis is, I love Pettis, but he's over the hill. I just think if it gets into a technical striking fight, I think Cowboy wins. So there's a bit of money to be made, mate.
Pettis has got one over him. 7 years ago they fought and took him down with a body shot with the kick.
Look, I'm a bit of a scrapper. 7 years is a long time in the fight game. So
it definitely is. A lot can change in 12
years.
You going to be watching it, Scope? You got any specials?
Nah, mate, I haven't even had a close enough look at it, to be fair. I love the UFC, but I obviously don't get into it as much as the boys do. I sort of just wait for some of the bigger cards. I was looking forward to Ferguson Khabib, and then once that was changed to, is it Gaethje? How do you pronounce his last name?
Gaethje.
Gaethje. Yeah, I wasn't as keen on it, but yeah, I'll probably tune in at some point. Yeah, like me and my mates love it. It used to go down to the pub and watch them. So I don't know how I probably wouldn't stream it. I don't know. See what happens.
Yeah, Gaethje would be your type of fighter, mate. If you wanted to get behind a boy, he's a bit of you.
I've seen him. He's a scrapper. He just goes up. He gets after it, doesn't he?
Does the mad backflips off the cage at the end of it as well.
Yeah, he's been knocked out a few times, though, hasn't he?
Yeah, he kind of walks forward with his mouth open, but you know.
Yeah. Bit like Skate Specials, just there you go. Continuously.
Breathing.
You're probably right.
Yeah. You keep coming back and the title shot's coming, Scope. Title shot is coming.
I think the great thing about the UFC is that like you can be a casual fan of the UFC and it's perfect because the big cards are so easy to watch. Like anyone, like I even said in that other video, if there's a fight going on over here, you want to watch it. So you don't necessarily have to know the characters to enjoy it. And especially if they're the only show in town, which they're going to be this weekend, meaning they're the only sport on, man, I think they could capture a massive audience here if they do it. I mean, the card's stacked top to bottom. You know, it's only going to be the diehards who watch the whole thing all day like me, but
look at the
prelims.
The first fight, Uriah Hall and Ronaldo Souza in the prelim, that's a fucking mad fight.
Yeah,
that's going to be a mad
Scope. Uriah Hall, you would have seen the highlight. He's the one on the Ultimate Fighter that did the spinning back kick knockout. And absolutely
I remember him. That's when I probably first started watching it.
Yeah, it was a few years.
That Ultimate Fighter. I thought he was going to be a gun after that because
everyone did.
He just rolled through that. But he got beaten by Gastelum in the final, didn't he?
He did, yeah. So it was I think Calvin was like the number 16 little Mexican wrestler.
He was the last pick, little chubby little Mexican, and and then Uriah Hall looked the grouse. I remember that. That's when I first started getting into it. I watched that Ultimate Fighter.
You've actually got a bit of the Calvin Gastelum about you, to be honest, now that I'm looking at you. I'm
a hybrid of both. I've also got the long, rangy, skinny, I got half skinny legs. Well, actually more like Bones Jones, actually. That's probably
very fast twitchy.
Speaking of combat sports, boys, Mike Tyson in the news. Apparently someone threw a contract at him to fight Sonny Bill, Paul Gallen, or Barry Hall. What's doing?
Scott, you're our foremost expert.
Yeah, our resident boxing expert, Justin Horrow.
Yeah,
what happens with Mike Tyson? What is it's taking the piss for sure.
It's
someone's just tagged. He's done that thing, the video last week where it's come out and he's still throwing them like no tomorrow, and someone's just gone, "Oh, this would be a good little write up," and it's gone through. Is that how it would work?
Yeah. I think he wants to do a charity fight. I believe that's how it all started, but he wouldn't be thinking in Australian boxing. No way. He'd be thinking about some of the big dogs in America to come back. I think one of my mates threw out on the group chat that maybe him and Evander Holyfield for number 3 was sort of floated around for a bit of a charity fight or whatever. So something like that's more realistic. I think a few of the people in Australia try to jump on board, and obviously with what's going on with Gallen and Sonny Bill and that recently, trying to create some attention. But a bit of a giggle. I can't see it happening.
I mean, I thought the video was sick, but you'd be a bit sad if he couldn't still throw him. I know he's 53, but of course he can still throw him. It's Mike Tyson. The video was sick, but it didn't blow my hair back. I was like, fuck, he's going to do a comeback. But yeah, the Aussie thing's not a chance.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah. No, carry on.
Do you remember when Danny Green knocked out Roy Jones Jr. over here?
Years ago.
Do you remember that fight? Danny Green, yeah. So Danny Green was training with us at Parramatta.
Yeah,
at the time, because he did his camp in Sydney, and we all went to that fight, and it was like a knockout in the first round. And Roy Jones is if you know about Roy Jones, he's a fucking gun. It was sad. It was sad to see. You don't want it was a great accomplishment for Danny Green, and he was going through that back and forth with Chop Mundine back in those days, where that was the exciting fight that everyone wanted to see. But to see Roy Jones fighting, to see boxers fight past their time, and where it's like half dangerous, where they can sort of like, you sort of think, fuck, he could like potentially not get up from that.
Yeah.
That's where it gets a bit concerning as a fan.
The cool thing, like circling back to the MJ doco, like what you're realizing about MJ is like he finished still being MJ, which is so fucking cool and very rare. Like I know basketball is a completely different sport, but like, yeah, when you see boxers, whether it's, Bernard Hopkins or whatever, and they just keep fucking going, and even Manny Pacquiao to an extent, I know he looked like a killer in his last fight, but Manny, like, you don't want to see...
Just go out like that.
Just go out like that. Like, I know it's hard for people to go out on top because obviously if you're the champion of the world, why would you fucking stop is the argument, but you end up being Roy Jones Jr. getting put through the ropes in Aussie. Like, so... Yeah, Mike Tyson. I did see this morning. I don't know how legit it is, but bare knuckle boxing.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up. $20 million offer.
They pushed $20 million. Not that Tyson needs the coin, but fuck, who doesn't need $20 million? Imagine what poor soul gets in the ring with that bloke, bare knuckle.
They're like, pick anyone on our roster, and we'll give you 20.
Mate, he could take 3 of the blokes. I don't know why anyone would fucking choose that.
Get him with Artem.
No.
Imagine Tyson hitting a bare knuckle, but that's a similar thing. Imagine hitting it, bare knuckle and getting sat down. It'd be fucking sad, man.
Yeah, on your MJ point though, MJ come back and played for the Wizards, eh? You remember that? And that was
of course. What am I talking about?
That's right.
Yeah.
So he finishes up at the Bulls, but he comes back to the Wizards, and people, whenever they talk about his legacy, especially if you get in the
pretend
LeBron,
it didn't happen.
That off.
Yeah, all the MJ lovers just like, what? That didn't happen.
No, he didn't play. No.
Yeah. Amnesia.
He moved into, he was in their front office, and then he was having a say on all their draft picks, and he was like, you guys are shit, and he just comes back, and then he didn't do much.
Yeah. He hasn't been good in the front office. I think he's been working with Charlotte Hornets too. I think he might have
he owns the
stake
team.
in the Charlotte Hornets.
Does
he fully own it?
I'm pretty sure he owns it,
I think 2017 he brought the majority. Yeah, he owns them now, so... But they're shit house. So.
I wonder, like, being at the Charlotte, like, on that topic, like, does he still have the same mentality with the team there, or do you reckon he plays a different role for them?
Have you seen the footage of him? I think it was last year. I don't know if it was Malik Monk. It was one of the young guns. Charlotte
slapped him.
Malik Monk slapped him over the head when he ran on the court. Still Jordan. He's like on the sideline.
It was either him or Jeremy Lamb.
I think it was Jeremy Lamb. I think you're right. Yeah. And he like ran on the court too early, like time wasn't up. And so the refs had to like reset the shot clock or whatever, and MJ just slaps him straight around the back of the head.
What are you doing?
Well, last one for today, boys. Just a little topic we'll touch on. The New Zealand Super Rugby. It looks like they've put together a little Kiwi conference for the boys to all have a play to get some games under the belt. That's probably the only... I watch more Kiwi rugby than I do Aussie rugby. My best mate's a Hurricanes fan, so I'm always sitting there and watching them. Should be a bit of... Like, when are they in New Zealand? Can they get back to that? I think I read something about level 2. Where's that up to for you guys, Jackson?
We got, so Auntie Jacinda laid out level 2 guidelines yesterday, which is basically, she's the goat, which is basically we can kind of get back to normal life. So like pubs and that are going to be open, but it's all seated, blah, blah, blah. But our netball competition and our rugby competition gets to start back up as well. So Super Rugby's aiming for a 10-week comp starting in mid-June, as I understand. That could well be brought forward. So when all this stuff went down, and we talk a lot about the NRL and how fucked they were financially, New Zealand Rugby was chilling. Like New Zealand Rugby had a big surplus of rainy day cash sitting there because they've got smart people at the top, and obviously New Zealand Rugby makes so much money off the All Blacks brand. They take a game to Tokyo or America or whatever, and they're set for the year, basically. Like, that's how much cachet the All Blacks brand has. So they were sweet. They didn't have to play, but obviously everyone wants to see the boys run around again. We're not likely to get any home tests. So rugby in New Zealand is such an economic multiplier, whether it's bars, revenue, everything. Like, it's not just the players. There's broadcasters, there's food vendors, there's cleaning contracts. There's so much that rugby contributes to this economy. So they had to get a competition back rolling in June. And if you know anything about New Zealand rugby, the derbies are where it's basically state of origin every other weekend in terms of intensity. Like when the Hurricanes play the Rebels or something, you can tell it's a noticeable dip down in intensity when they verse the Crusaders. The boys just lift and scope. You'd know, how much do you lift in your career when you're playing a mate or someone you knew and you want to give them a little bit of extra? Like, you lift when you're playing against your mates, and there's so many All Blacks sprinkled across all the franchises that they all lift when they play each other. So it's going to be intense. The question which everyone's kind of wondering is, does it count as a proper Super Rugby title? So if the Crusaders win it, is it a four-peat or is it not because there's no other teams in it? Do they celebrate like they've won a Super Rugby title? You know, how big is the carry on that Monday?
Yeah.
So I don't know, but it's going to be sick anyway.
Yeah. Touching on the derby thing in particular, I think it's a part that when I've mentioned running the conferences and divisions in the NRL to sort of boost that up a little bit, we don't really have that apart from probably South and the Roosters. Like even over in the Super League, I play like at Wakey, and I haven't spoke highly of the area in particular, but we were right next door to Castleford, and those two teams hated each other. And even though it's Super League and it's probably two teams you wouldn't have heard of, when you're actually at those games, there might only be 5,000 to 10,000 people there, but fuck, it's electric, and you feel those derbies. So I know what he's talking about with regards to the Super Rugby, like the rugby over in New Zealand.
And does the Premier League
religion over here, man?
Yeah, for sure. Does the Premier League culture bleed over into the footy fans or nah?
Nah, not really. There's it's what the Premier League rivalries.
Not so much that, just like the way that the Premier League fans, like, you know, talking about Liverpool, there's so many songs, shit like that. Does that bleed over into the Super League or? Yeah,
there are creative sort of songs that they try to bring out, but it's like nowhere near as popular because there might be 200 fans singing it compared to fucking a stadium full at Anfield.
Yeah. Scope. Speaking of Anfield, Scope, you're like this 12 months ago. Quick corner, Origi. That was today.
Was that 12 months ago? Was that today?
12 months ago.
Oh, God. That was like...
that was one of the best games I've ever watched. And I was begrudgingly switching it on to watch it at the start as well. Get that early goal, and then it was just one of the best sporting moments I've ever just sat there and watched.
Bro, like I had tickets for that game. I had tickets for that game.
I remember you telling me this story, yeah.
So this is like, it was a bittersweet feeling for me because obviously I'm watching the game unfold. I've been a Liverpool fan for, 15 years, since back in the day, just playing FIFA with Fernando Torres and Stevie G back in the day, and just always supported him since then. And then we've got some diehard Man U fans in my Wakey team, and we had a little bit of banter going back and forth, and they were giving it to us about we're going to lose the Premier League to Man City, and then, we're about to get knocked out from Barcelona. And I had these tickets and I didn't take them. So as I'm watching, like, we were down 4-0, 3-0 or 4-0 for the people that don't know. 4-0, we were losing 3-0.
Because we won 4-3.
Oh, okay.
And what happened was Barcelona tweeted out if we'll definitely score 1, so then they'll have to score 5.
Yeah. Okay.
Remember that?
And then once those goals have been scored, I'm just sitting there on the couch just going, how the fuck didn't I go to this game? Like,
why didn't you go? You just couldn't be fucked, or
it was 800 quid a ticket.
Oh,
800 quid a ticket, right? So I was willing to pay it, but none of my mates wanted to pay 800 quid.
So yeah,
like, we weren't on the biggest contracts over there. That's a lot of money. That's $1,500, nearly $1,500.
And you were taking up a third of the cap as well.
Yeah, and I was on overs. Like, fucking, they're paying me way too much. So
you were like Jordan going to the back of the other side of the plane with your playing cards.
Yeah, and boys, we're dealing these $800 tickets, and they were going, 800, mate.
Yeah, how much do you want again, Scott? Overs, baby.
Deep pockets.
All right, boys, we'll wrap it up there. That's Friday's show and go. See you guys on Monday for a wrap up of the UFC and whatever's happening over the weekend.
Legends go.
Sweet lads.
Boys.